It's a sweet hobby, but not for everyone. One Wellesley resident keeps bees in his backyard and says it's worth every sting. This week on Inside Wellesley, I put the bee suit on to take a close look at the hive. Tucked away on Russell Road in Wellesley is a house that tastes as sweet as it looks. That's because there's this in the backyard, a beehive kept by longtime resident Miguel Lessing, who knew he wanted to be a beekeeper from a very young age.
As I was a high school student, I had a school pal who had a weekend home with a little bit of grounds, and I was there, and they were extracting honey. And obviously that made an impression on me. So when I came to this part of the country and heard that this county and all counties in Massachusetts have a club and that the clubs offer classes, I jumped on the opportunity.
Since Lessing has been beekeeping for nearly 11 years now, I put my fate in his hands to learn a little bit more about these flying insects. All right, we're putting on the uniform. Oh, I'm sorry, what's it called? What's this called?
Bee suit.
The bee suit. We're putting on the bee suit. So of course my first fear was, wait, I don't want to get stung. But Lessing said, relax, claiming bees don't want to sting me even more than I don't want to get stung.
The bees will not sting for any reason. Unlike wasps, if they sting, they die, because with the stinger come their bowels, and therefore that's the end of their life. So they will only do it if they feel threatened.
And with those words of wisdom, we headed in.
And this is the outside cover. It's a cover that's protected with some metal, so it just protects it from the weather, rain and so on. Whoop! You see, those are the things I shouldn't be doing. It got stuck together with this outside cover. And what I have next is the inside cover. The inside cover is their ceiling. This is the end of their house. Whatever happens above this is not what they think of as their house. Next, I have here a box where I have put some food for them. As I said, we use sugar syrup, a certain proportion of sugar and water, different proportions at different times of year. In the winter we can't use this because it would freeze. We have to use some solid food, which is the same, sugar and water, but with Caro, for example, to make it solid. And now this is their home. In this part of the country you need 2 boxes for them to have enough food to go through the winter. Where we in Florida, 1 would be enough. And normally what you would have is some more boxes on top for them to also use as their home, but to collect extra honey. And those are the boxes one would use to extract honey from. What we have inside each of these boxes are frames, which is an organized way to keep the bees building their comb in a way that allows me to take out parts without destroying the hive. So I'm going to take one of these frames, of which there are 10 in each of these 2 boxes. And you see, I said that this hive doesn't have much honey, much food for the winter. What you have here are the cells. And they have a little bit of honey that shines in the sun, but it's not yet ready to be stored. When it's ready to be stored, which means it's deposited there from the glands that the bee process the nectar, it needs to be then the amount of water reduced. And then when it is with around 16% or 17% of water content, they will cover it. They will cap it. And that's how they keep their honey.
And for the honey that the bees don't need, Lessing bottles for family, friends, and neighbors.
It's good, and it varies a lot from year to year. And it varies from time of year. For example, the spring honey is generally not as tasty. It's sweet, but it doesn't have all the undertones that fall honey has or later honey has. So when you go through honey, you can do the same as with wines. There is a little bit of this flavor and sherry, and and people are experts in that. Certainly not me, but I can determine just by tasting them which one is better than others.
And while it's always nice to have a constant supply around, Lessing is far more fascinated by the way bees work than what they actually produce.
Bees are very important to our environment, mostly because of their role as pollinators. But they start when they are born, first as nursing bees. They help nurse and take care of eggs and initial larvae. Then they are cleaners. Then eventually they become guards on the outside. First time that they are really outside, only then they become foragers. I find that unusual. We have to be told what to do next. The bees somehow come pre-programmed. So here we have another frame where you see there is a lot more activity. In fact, you can even see a bee here carrying pollen on her legs. It's the yellow part on her legs. And pollen is something they require to feed their new larvae, the eggs and larvae. And you see that there are some cells that are covered and very different to what we saw before, which is with honey. They stick out. These will be drones, which are male bees. On the other side, the queen has laid more eggs, and you see drone cells and others that are flat. In fact, you can even see some that have not yet been covered. There is a little larva there. Very soon that will be covered too, and that's going to be the end of feeding the new future bee, and eventually over some days that will convert into pupa, and when it comes out we have a brand new bee.
In his life for more than a decade, Lessing clearly has a sweet spot for his bees.
This is one of my girls.
Does she have a name?
Yes, if my wife would be in charge.
And works hard to make them feel at home. For Wellesley Media, I'm Natalie Kaplan.